Um, you guys just kind of listen, and then we'll go into a Q&A session, and you guys will be able to either invite type in your questions, or you can signal for a question. All righty. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the SkiBike platform review. This is part of an educational series that the American Ski Bike Association's putting on this year, that I'm just playing with and seeing if we can get some more interest or get some more educational stuff out there. All right. This is a very brief history of ski biking. The history of ski biking actually goes back quite a ways, but some of the earliest origins go back over 150 years. Obviously, they were seen in the Alps back in the 1850s. It's funny, there was some evidence that one was actually one of the other things is that in 1892 the first patent on a ski bike was actually completed, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, the velo, yeah, let's not even go there. But what's funny is that part of the information that I dug up on this, there's no evidence it was ever built, but it was patented, and I think that's where we get today. And then in 1949, Engelbert Brenter received his first patent on a sit ski, and I got just a small picture off there to the right there, and boy, doesn't that look like a different machine than what you see there today. So basically, ski bikes have been around a long time in Europe, and they enjoyed a brief period of popularity here in the late 60s through the 70s here in the U.S., and I guess back in the day there were quite a few U.S. manufacturers at that time. One of the main reasons that they got banned was obviously that there was no formal program development around ski biking like there was with skiing and adaptive sports and things like this. Just so you guys know, one of the things that we at the American Ski Bike Association are doing, we are trying to wedge work, do whatever we can do with PSIA right now as we give this presentation, and we're trying to come up with a adaptive level 1 ski bike. Jim Whelan, one of our representatives, is working real hard on that, and that would just be the foot in the door, and then hopefully we could build off of that. So from what I've pulled together from that, they were banned and driven off basically because there was no formal program development. Obviously, people were bringing anything that they wanted on the hill, not unlike you saw even a handful of years ago, and so they just ixnayed them. But let's go back into early 2000. There was a huge resurgence here in the U.S. There were folks out there like Don Koski that had been playing with this stuff years, even up to that point. But around 2000, Durango, I forget what year it was, 2003, 2004ish, Durango started their first ski bike festival and really pulled us back together, pulled the people from the industry together, and basically we started getting some of the creative juices and things flowing around the industry. And so that's just kind of the brief stuff up to where we're at here today. All right, so lots of terminology going around. I've had people ask me, what's the difference between a bobber and a ski bob and things like that. And so I like to laugh, right? Ski bike, snow bike, bobber, pegger, freestyle ski bob. Yeah, who's bob and peg? Who really cares? There are lots of terms for different types of bike that slide on the snow. I personally like the term ski bike. Because basically if it's got skis and edges, it's a ski bike, and if it's got handlebars. So going through this presentation, I'm going to use the term ski bike to talk about just about anything we slide on that's got handlebars, but we will highlight some of the terminology used around each of the platforms. We will also review the different platforms and what's currently available on the market, and again, we said some terminology around each of those. So with that said, lastly, I want to at least give credit. I pulled a lot of the history and some of the other information off of Rod Ratliff's original skibike.org site. and so I need to make sure that I give him credit. He actually, if you haven't visited that site, there's lots of information on the history of ski biking, different events that we had done through the years, and all kinds of things. And he through the years spent a lot of time compiling that information, and it's very useful. So please go out there. Alrighty. All right. First, the platform that we're going to go into is the bobber or the ski bob platform. So the bobber or the ski bob platform, it's a very characteristic look, design, and riding technique. This is the original European-style ski bike used for decades, and even today. Some of the key indicators on it are lower seat heights, lower center of gravity. They use foot skis for additional control and edging, and even today, I've mentioned models available. What you're looking at now, I believe it's a Brenter in the picture, but this is a classic ski bob or a bobber platform. Lots of different bikes out on the market, but what you're going to see is that typical thing: lower seat height, foot skis, that kind of thing going on. Okay. One of the bikes that's available out there, it's from Brenter Snowbike. Brenter probably has one of the largest grasp, I guess is a better word, on the market today. They were probably one of the originals out there. I don't know about some of you folks out there. I took my first ski bike lesson on a Brenter at Durango Mountain. These are the most common bikes that you'll find in rental fleets on mountains. Not necessarily all of them, but you'll almost always find these out here. And personally, it has a lot to do with the packaging that Brenter did with their equipment. Number one, they had good documentation and learning plans, and things were buttoned up really nice, and they had a certification path and things like that for instructors, and I personally think that that's why they have the hold that they do on the market still today. But they have bikes sized from adult kids to full adult. You can actually find out any information on them at www.snowbike.com, and I was talking with Don Koski today, and he had told me about there's a new bike from Brenter called a Monster 6, and I'm just going to tell you what, you don't have to be a Brenter fan, but you guys have to go out and take a look at it. It has a very interesting front fork on it, and I'm just going to say it's very interesting. So please go out and take a look at the website and look for the Monster 6. All righty. Another bike that's very readily available on the market today for ski bobs is from Stalmach. Stalmach is owned by Jacek Stalmach. He was a 1995 triple world championship ski bob rider. He has very, very classic ski bob designs with kids bikes all the way to full adult and adaptive models. One of his iconic pieces that I like to call it is one of his step throughs. He literally has the only step through ski bike I've ever seen on the market, and you know, good for him. But you can see his current lineup and pricing and things like that at www.stalmach.com. Great bikes. They, to me, are more heavier built than the Brenters, but they also weigh quite a bit more too. But absolutely proven design that's out in the market today and readily available. Sledgehammer. So Gregor Schuster is the owner of Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer Ski Bikes. Gregor Schuster is actually on the board of directors with the American Ski Bike Association. He manufactures ski bobs and freestyle bikes. And what you're looking at there is a picture of one of his ski bobs based around one of his earlier frame designs, and he shortened up some legs on it. I have a friend here in the U.S. that rides one of his latest bobbers, and it has become his favorite bike. He makes a very top quality bobber bike, and they're readily available. And you can get information from them at sledgehammer.at. It's in Austria. All right. Now we're going to discuss board bike platforms. Okay. Again, very characteristic look, design, and riding technique. Board bikes are very, very popular in Europe and Japan. I tried through retail outlets to market them here in the U.S. And honestly, most folks here in the U.S. are looking for ski bikes with a seat, but that doesn't mean that these bikes aren't worth a second look if you're interested in the style of riding. Um, uh, it's a basically board bike platforms. It's a platform ridden and a standing up on the deck with no seat. It's a very interesting mix because the bike itself has a very low center of gravity, but as you climb on the machine, you become the highest center of gravity on it, and it's a very interesting mix. But if you learn how to negotiate the equipment, you can actually do rather well on it. Um, they have very wide snowboard-sized boards underneath them. Usually, the rear board underneath these bikes is almost, if not larger than a full-scale, snowboard. And then the front is some kind of a version of it, shorter piece of it or whatever. One of the key points to point out on a board bike platform is that you have to use leashes on these types of bikes to prevent more runaways. Because of their very, very, very low center of gravity and their very wide boards, this machine will stay upright when you come off of it and it heads down the hill. And so that's just something to keep in mind, is that the wider your skis get, you have to start considering those things. But these board bike platforms absolutely have to be tethered. And there's a couple different manufacturers out there, and again, like everything else out there, they're available in both rigid and in full suspension models. What you're looking at here could be a snow scoot or something like that. This is your basic board bike platform, very characteristic. Notice that there's no seat. There are some models, and we'll talk about one in particular that looks like it has a seat, but it's actually not a seat. It's more like that frame piece there. But they're ridden standing up, and the technique isn't too different than normal freestyle riding. One of the manufacturers that's available out there today is Metalworks, and you can get information on them at snowmoto.jp in Japan. Very high-end, Japan-designed, Taiwan-built board bikes. Metalworks actually bought out the U.S. company Crichton Snowmoto. So many years ago, Crichton Snowmoto had been in development for 2 years. And by the time they hit market, they were so in debt. And as the manager that I talked to one time, he used the word hemorrhaging. He said that the Metalworks offered to buy up their patents and their designs, and they continued development from the Crichton Snowmoto to today's models. A lot of their effort, I don't want to say all their effort by any means, but a lot of their effort is in board development. The boards on these bikes is what you're paying for. They're beautiful boards. They're carbon wrapped. They're playing with different flexes, trying to get them to just do exactly what you need them to do. And they spend a lot of time working on those boards. One of the things you'll notice on this one, you'll see this item right here that looks somewhat like a seat. And I just highlight that it's actually not a seat. It's actually what we call a control boom. And what it does is it just gives you your legs or your knees or your lower part of your extremities something to pinch on to help negotiate leaning the frame when you're riding this equipment. So, all right, and that's the Metalworks, and you can see their full line at snowmoto.jp. They have bikes readily available. They do ship to the U.S. And great bikes. I've just spent the last couple of days on one and had a great time. Snowscoot. Snowscoot has been around for a very long time. They actually they had come out to one of the events out in Durango Mountain many years ago, and I don't know that they've been back since then. Again, a very popular board bike in Europe and Canada. You guys might have seen some of the races. There was an event or something going on in France and stuff like that. They do a lot of racing in France, and Snowscoot is huge over there. They have rigid and full suspension models, and they got minis all the way up to full adult sizes. And you can see their products at snowscoot.com. And you may take another look under another name, and it's called Insane Toys. Insane Toys used to make some versions of these, and then there's some Japanese companies that make a bike that's almost identical, but it's just a stand-up board bike. Okay. this one here is kind of an interesting one. It's called a snoater, and what I'd like to call it, it's a hybrid between a freestyle peg riding bike and a stand-up board bike riding. Um, if you notice, it doesn't have a platform at all to stand on. You basically have two sets of pedals or pegs. Some are forward and the others are back, and you can get some kind of split stance on them or something. And that's how it's ridden. No seat or control boom. The only bikes that they have are, there's two models of this one, and it's basically the difference of a little bit longer frame and longer skis. So they use one for slalom, and then the other one has shorter skis for negotiating more of a park and terrain and things like that. And then they actually make an adult bike, this one right here, and it's just a great little one to see the little ones on. And you can see Snoater's complete lineup at www.snoater.com. All right. So what we got here are freestyle or pegger ski bikes, and that's kind of some of the terminology. Very characteristic look, and I know I've said that several times before, but I'm going to continue to say it. I like to say that one of the characteristics piece of a freestyle or a pegger bike, it's got this moto, BMX, downhill mountain bike inspired design, geometry, riding technique. These bikes are primarily designed to be ridden on the foot pegs. Most, if not all models, can be ridden with foot skis if desired. Some manufacturers make that option very easy. US inspired riding technique that is catching on very strong across Europe. Gregor Schuster in Europe, he sells a whole lot of freestyle pegger bikes across Europe and doesn't necessarily send a pair of foot skis with all of them. That riding technique is catching on all over Europe, and more people are accepting it over there, and they're really enjoying that. But as he has told me several times, the two riding styles are still side by side on the hill together, and so between the bobbers and this stuff. These freestyle or these pegger bikes, they have a much higher center of gravity seat than normal ski bobs. One of the things we talked about was how low the seat was on the ski bobs, kind of a typical classic thing. These seats are typically a lot higher. Okay, so keep that in mind because it does change the center of gravity on the equipment. This is a picture, and it's what I call the classic freestyle or pegger ski bike platform. Notice the machine's taller, more motocross inspired. There's a variety of things, and they don't all necessarily look like this because there's a lot of different bikes that fall into this category. But this is just an example of one of them. As far as freestyle bikes, one of the top U.S. suppliers right now, actually the only U.S. supplier is Lensport. He's a top of the line freestyle bike on the market today. They are ready, available. He's building them every season. They're custom hand-built frames and skis, many other components made right here in Colorado, USA. He makes both full suspension and rigid models. One of the things that's really great about his operation is that it is full custom. Honestly, all you have to do is put a down payment down on it, and he'll make you about anything. He'll make it in the color you want. He'll make whatever, but you got to put down the down payment, and they tell him what you need. One of the things I'd like to highlight is that team riders on Lensports, as well as several other bikes, are pushing the limits of this new riding style everywhere. People are floored with the things that they're doing between big air competitions like that have been done at Durango Mountain, half pipe riding, tree riding. It's surprising people all the time. You can see Devin Lens's lineup at lensport.com.
Hey, baby.
Excuse me, Don? Hey, Donnie, you there?
Nothing.
Oh, never mind. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All righty. Sledgehammer. So I'd mentioned Sledgehammer earlier. Sledgehammer has designed and manufactured 5 different freestyle models and several different bobber designs to date. They didn't do a production run this year, but they will be coming out with the Sledgehammer 6 next year, along with I believe a very, I believe they call it it's like a bobber light. It's a rigid fork ski bob, very simple design. I'm very interested in the upcoming design because it could be a good replacement for the old K2s that were out there that are so coveted. But anyway, his newest freestyle models incorporate easily removed pedals. So I wanted to mention this because this is one of the things that I think is fantastic. If you notice his bike here, right around there, his pegs are actually they're standard pedals. And so the really, really great part about this bike is that those things can easily come on and off for use with or without foot skis, or different style of pedals or whatever else you'd like to bolt on for, to put your feet up on. But that flexibility in that bike, I think, gives it a lot of options for different riders. Gregor Schuster is also, so I had mentioned that he's one of our American Ski Bike Association board members. He recently started, not recently, he's been working at it for a while. He recently started up the European Ski Bike Association based basically on our model. And he is running that over there. Hopefully you all saw some of the pictures. He just held his first European Ski Bike Association event, and looks like he had a fairly respectable turnout. And we are all working together, trying to grow ski bikes not only here in the U.S. but grow them again back in Europe. And so he's owning that European side. You can see his current bikes, and keep an eye on it because he'll have stuff coming up at sledgehammer.at. SMX snow bike. So not technically a freestyle bike, but it is. The owner and the designer, Jason Buckley. Jason Buckley is one of our American Ski Bike Association board members also. This is his design and his bike. It's designed and manufactured in New Zealand. I had one several years ago. I ended up selling it to a partner of his here in the U.S. that was trying to put together a fleet of these for a ski area, and I sold my extras along with mine. And no sooner did I send them to him that I was very I wish I hadn't. Regretful, I guess is the word, because it is, to me, it is the almost perfect blend of skiing and biking. Um, I had never ridden a bike before. When I climbed on it, my second run down, I was taking it down terrain steeper than I was even comfortable with on my own machine. If you're a skier, you will get this gear. I'm personally right now trying to get 3 bikes over here to the U.S. right now, and so yeah, they are being manufactured. The availability on them's a little sketchy right now, but we are working on trying to get them here a little bit easier. One of the things I wanted to highlight was he had a team rider, I believe it was a family member by the name of Darby, and the team riders on the SMX snow bikes and these 3-ski bikes are just, you talk about pushing serious limits. Just like the Lensport bikes and the freestyle bikes, they're out there trying to figure out what are capable on these machines and what aren't. Just to share a real brief story, I had some video of one of his team riders inside an indoor ski area somewhere, and he was coming up so high off the ramp, he started smacking the lights on the ceiling with this thing, and they kicked him out that day. So a great machine. They are available. You can see their story and their gear at smxsnowbikes.com. Nissan. So Nissan is one of the newest entries into the market of purpose-built ski bikes in recent years. Nissan specializes in a hardtail BMX-style ski bike, but he is working on more models. He uses a unique crank-style pegs. You can't see it in here real good, and I do apologize, but basically instead of pegs, what he has are rotating cranks. I would assume standard length as just about any set of cranks would be, so that as you're riding it, you can actually move them forward and backwards and things like you would be on a set of pedals, like on a bike or something. One of the other unique signatures about this item is at the ride height. So his conversion kit brackets are quite a bit taller, and so I believe, if it's not exactly the same, the ride height of this bike is almost the same as a normal wheeled vehicle versus other ski bikes on the market. And then also he can be accredited with developing several different ski designs for his own bikes that he does have for sale. I know quite a few folks that run his boards and like them. So yeah, another source out there for bikes that are available. He does have bikes and skis available, and you can review his gear and his story at nissamsnow.com. Ah, well, none of this would be complete unless we talked about conversion kits. So conversion kits are something out there. Personally, that it's how I got started in the industry literally 13 years ago. I converted my downhill bike, and then the first thing that Ski Bike Fun ever sold was conversion kits. And so they've been around for a while. I personally think it was the conversion kits that helped kind of spark this new takeoff, this new version of ski bikes from the early 2000 on, and um, they definitely have a place out there. Um, several years ago, it was the only option out there. Honestly, when I started ski biking, it was a Brenter, it was a Koski bike, or it was a conversion. There wasn't much else out there. Um, and several of these kits are still available today. One of the ones that I always send people to, it's Alpine ski bikes. They are the original manufacturer and inventor of the Winter X bike kit that I say started it all. Um, this his latest production run has both original and newer higher end kits that allow for a lot of versatility in what you want to mount these kits up to. And by that I mean some of them had sealed bearing options, some of them have, let's say, 20 millimeter option, 10 millimeter option, things like that. And so um, um, there's a whole lot more beyond just the standard 3/8 axles that he did on the standard kits from the start. Lastly, he still got, I believe, a few of them left, but he actually did a small production of what I call a hybrid freestyle board bike platform called the Ripcord. I've even played with this design in my own prototypes and things like that. But basically, instead of pegs, you've got a board style platform, and then you've got an actual seat that's adjustable. I personally think it's probably one of the better designs out there, especially for a recreational bike. And so you can view their story and their equipment and what they have available at alpineskibikes.com. Bike the Slopes. Bike the Slopes is a conversion kit manufacturer out of Canada. Um, they what they produce and offer is just some basic brackets and pegs for ski bike conversions, and what you're looking at there is what they're offering up as kits. I don't believe that they offer any skis. But it's just the basic brackets, and then you've got to come up with your own stuff. You can see their products at biketheslopes.ca. Drifter Snow Bikes. They are another conversion kit manufacturer in Canada. They produce a higher end bracket, pegs, and skis for conversion kits. I think their end product's a little bit better finished, especially around the retention system to keep the skis flat. And this is just my own take on it, but I'm going to call them a park style kit. The boards that they offer with their kits are shorter, fatter, more aggressive, and I think it's more for like a park style ride, sliding off boxes and things like that. You can see what they have available at driftersnowbike.com. All right. Um, at this point, um, let me let me go ahead and just turn on the Q&A portion of this. And basically, if you've got a question or anything like that, just go ahead and click the button. If you're on a phone, you can do a *5, and myself and Don Koski will do our best to answer your question. Hey Tim, how you doing, sir? You there, Tim? Okay. Some technical errors. Tim, if you can hear me, why don't you go ahead and try to do another. Oh, there you are. Are you there, Tim?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I sure can, buddy.
Probably. Okay. Hey, just a question real quick. I understand Don's on here. Is he building any bikes these days?
Hey, Donnie, you want to answer that?
Yeah, we have 3 left right now, but I have to put them together, and that includes foaming the seat, covering the seats, and putting them together. And I unfortunately am taking care of a friend that's dying of cancer right now.
Very sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So if my time frame allows it, we can get some stuff together. But unfortunately, I don't know my timeline.
I got it. Yeah, got to take care of your priorities. Yeah, I was just curious if how active you were still in the sport, but I'm glad to see you're still playing with it.
Definitely still doing stuff, and got a whole bunch more designs in my head to build in the future.
I hope you never run out of those.
I don't get that well. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Tim?
No, I just there's so much to get into with different styles and stuff, but
absolutely, and this is just a teaser. I'm hoping to kind of continue with this and maybe eventually dig down a little bit deeper on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I guess as far as the industry goes, just throw it out there. But what do you see as the number one thing holding the sport back? Is it public perception, or is it resorts like insurance liability issues? Where do you see that going? Or what do you think is the number one thing holding us back?
I personally think the number one thing holding us back is the resorts not wanting to take the risk. I'm here to tell you, I worked on a ski hill a handful of years ago, and risk management dictates just about anything that happens on a ski hill these days.
Sure.
2, I think it's public perception. Let's face it, when they see us out there and Lens and those guys out there in that gear, we look pretty intimidating. I think what we have to show them is that just like anything else out there, this can be as wild or as mild as you want it to be, right? And I think by continuing to show people that you can get disabled vets to people dropping down chutes like Devin did over here at A Basin last year. It's whatever it is you want to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the more that we can show them that, and show them that this isn't just some crazy fad that's going to come and go away. I think they're here to stay, because honestly, if you look at the core of riders out there, it's not a bunch of young kids. It's us older guys. I think we are pulling in some younger generations in this, but I think ultimately, when it comes down to it, being older, we tend to have a little more discretionary income, and so I think it's going to come down to, well, we need to allow bikes, or these folks are going to go someplace else. That same financial decision came down to Taos Ski Valley about 4 years ago, where you have so many families with mixed skiers and snowboarders that they were going someplace else, and you just can't afford to do that anymore. And so that's kind of where I think it's at.
Cool, thanks.
All right, thanks, Tim.
I don't mean to. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, let me see what I can do here.
Sure. Oh. Yeah, I don't mean to hijack the thing by any means, but nobody else is speaking up. So
no, that's fine, partner.
Sure. The other thing I have a question with, because I'm a member of Rec Unlimited, so we do adaptive skiing up here in Bogus, in Idaho. And we ran into an issue on our hill, and I think some of our guys talked to you there at the at Breckenridge, but we cannot get any bikes on the hill except for Stallmax. But I guess the reason is, and we didn't mention it in your thing, but and I don't know the history here, so if I'm opening a can of worms, forgive me. But the Shroom Bob, I guess somebody due to lawsuits or something has really anyway made it tough for us to get anything on the hill. And I don't know if you can elaborate on that, or if that makes any sense.
I'm not going to elaborate a whole lot on it. I do know some of the story. Bob, and I apologize, I'm not even going to butcher his last name. The guy who created the bike, he tried to get access on the hill for his wife, and they wouldn't allow it. I don't know the whole story, but he happens to be a lawyer, and so he decided to go that route, right? And so, from what I understand, talking to your folks from the mountain, their their stance was right away they just pulled them all off the hill, right? Until they could figure things
Yeah.
out. I'm not quite sure why one brand would be offered over another, except I ran into a situation with a mountain in the East Coast here last year, and basically to allow a different style of bike, they had to get a letter from the tram board saying that that bike was approved to ride on their lifts. Which was a really, really strange one. And basically, they had letters from the tram board stating that Brenters and Stallmucks or whatever were capable of that. And so I don't know where they got that stuff from, but that's just what I've heard. I've never actually dug into it myself. You know what I'm saying? So,
Sure.
yep. So cool. Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Let me see if I can turn your mic off here. Any other questions out there? All right. Well, I'm not going to beat it to death, folks. Hey, I want to thank those folks that showed up tonight. I'm just going to keep scratching at this. Tell your friends, especially the ones that don't know about ski bikes. Um, um, Other than that, folks, I just want to thank you for attending and participating. Everything's fantastic, and I appreciate you guys coming in, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, Don.
Bye-bye.